Today is Thursday, November 6th. It is now 1:30, and I'm calling the Golf Committee meeting to order. For those able, please stand and we'll recite the Pledge of Allegiance. Good afternoon, everyone. We have quorum with all 7 of our members present and 2 staff advisors. We have had 1 resignation, and at this time, we may or may not decide to fill that for the rest of the year, depending upon our task load. So we've established quorum. I'll read the meeting procedures. The governing board and its committees conduct all of their meetings in compliance with Arizona Planned Community Association open meeting laws per ARS 33-1804 and in concert with the Recreation Center's Sun City West bylaws, policies, and standing rules. Parliamentary procedures as outlined in the most recent edition of Robert's Rules of Order will also be followed in all meetings as appropriate, consistent with bylaw 3.07 and standing rules number 2 and 3. This meeting is being broadcast live on YouTube, and it is also being recorded. And I ask everyone to please turn off or silence cell phones for the duration of the meeting. Thank you very much. Our first order of business is approval of the minutes from our last meeting, October 9th. The minutes were posted online as part of the agenda. Do I have any changes, recommendations, additions, or corrections that need to be made? Seeing none, the minutes will stand as presented. Okay, on to reports. 3.01, golf operations. Mr. Pat O'Hara.
All right, good afternoon, everyone. A little recap of the last 30 days or so from golf operations. Just wanted to give everybody an update of our tournament schedule. We continue to host some events. Most recently, we hosted the Octogenarian. Next event coming up is our Folds of Honor. It's our night putting tournament over at Echo Mesa this year. We've designated Folds of Honor as the benefactor for this event. Currently, we have 70 signed up, and we'll take a total of 72. So if you know of anybody that would like to play, please let us know. This is a picture from last year, kind of gives you an idea of what it looks like. This was over at Pebblebrook last year. So we alternate between Pebblebrook and Echo because of the size of the putting greens. So I wanted to share with you the final results of the 30th annual Octogenarian. We had 92 players. They played over at Echo Mesa. They were able to take advantage of being some of the first players to see Echo Mesa since the opening. Here is the result sheet. 1945 is listed there because everybody that played had to be born on 1945 or earlier. So had a good turnout. Here's some of the winners that we had play, flight winners. And then I wanted to share this too. We had some closest to the pan, Robert and Bobby. And then here are our 90 plus participants. So we had 8, believe it or not, that played and had a great time. Had dinner over at Palm Ridge. So we utilized that facility for our dinner needs, which worked out really well. The staff over there did a wonderful job. Wanted to update everybody on Echo Mesa and how we're handling the desert areas. This will be in the same line as we did for Grandview a few years ago. We've posted signs on first and 10 tees as well as around the clubhouse, reminding everybody not to drive in the desert and free drop in any of the desert areas. So David Eichner gave us some good feedback on this, and this is the local rule for no play zones. So just be aware of that. Coming down the pike, these are scorecards kind of washed out, but in the middle of there it says please keep carts out of the desert areas. So those will be rolled out once we get through our older scorecards, because I'd hate to not use our older scorecards. But course rating has been adjusted. There's a temporary course rating. So if anybody's posting scores at Echo Mesa, please note that the scorecard that you have in front of you might not reflect the new course rating, but as you're posting your score to the GEN app, that's the current rating, and that will be in place until we leave the free drop, and then it'll go to a new rating after that. So all those things are in place. Wanted to share this with you. Our green team is kicking off here shortly. In fact, tomorrow, we are doing a club donation. We've advertised people that might need to clean out their garage or have extra sets for various reasons to donate those clubs, and we'll repurpose them to our green team for our beginners that are trying to play. It's our developmental program. If for some reason they're older, right? We see some old Patty Berg blades every once in a while. If we see those, we donate them to our local high school or the First Swing out of Phoenix. So they will get reused somewhere along the line. So that's tomorrow. It's happening at Stardust, starting off at, I believe, 9 o'clock. Is that what that says? Yeah, 9 to noon. And there'll be somebody there to meet your car and unload it for you, and we'll take it from there. The First Swing is on Saturday, and what that is a beginner's clinic for those having an interest in our community to play golf. Raw beginners, we've got 32 people signed up for this. It's a series of about 4 hours worth of free clinics, and we're just trying to tear down all the barriers to golf. The cost of golf, the instruction, and equipment. So if we feel if we can fill those needs, we can get some people to play golf, or at least try it, and that's what we want to try and do. Call center, I wanted to give you an update on this. Last year, if you recall, if you listened to any of the presentations, our calls in call center were going down up to almost 18 to 20%. And what we're finding this year is that they're back up a couple percentage points. So we staff our call center based upon need. If it's not busy during a time period, we'll send one of our 2 call center staff members home. But typically we're seeing some increases in calls, and that's a good sign for us. I wanted to give you an update on our capital projects. I had really 3 this last year. We had some tables and chairs over at Grandview, and then we had carts. 30 carts in our fleet were replaced. Those landed at Stardust and Echo Mesa. So if you play over there, you'll see a little different color cart. It's almond color, so that's the new champagne color. And then we've just received on the 16th of this last month 8 utility carts, which replace some player assistant carts and janitor carts that were in need of replacement. Just did some calculations earlier this week. Prior to the 30 carts, our average cart age was a little over 10 years. With the replacement of 30 carts, we're down to 6 years. And so that's an improvement for us, and it lowers our repair expense. And Chairman, would you like for me to start here, or I can hold off? If this is to a request from last golf committee about public player cards.
Before we get here, Pat, can you just go back to the call center slide?
Sure.
And then we'll
Hang on.
move on to there. My only, I would suggest, I think I suggested this previously, but 2% doesn't tell me anything. I really need to know how many calls is 2%? Is it 2% of 100? Is it 2% of 2,000?
3,900
Yeah, I know, but when you present it to us, if you give a percentage,
Absolutely.
give a number, and also the year before, give us like maybe a 3-month window or something like that.
Absolutely.
Because this does nothing for me.
Very good. Sure
Yeah,
will.
okay,
We've got that down.
thank you.
And I can hold off if you'd like, or I can go ahead with this.
Yeah, why don't you proceed, but the frequent player card will be subject to discussion by
Okay.
the working group, but this is the data they would need to know. So.
We okay with that?
Yeah.
All right. So last meeting, we had a question about the relevancy of our public frequent play card. Couple bits of information I'd love to share. These are annual cards that we sell through membership to non-residents. It's $1,600 for the annual card, plus they pay 11% higher rate at the counter than our residents pay. So they pay more and we charge them more to buy this card. This last year we sold, because it's a rolling, we amortize these cards over a 12-month period, so it's a rolling number, but we've sold 10, okay? So I want to just share some information here. So here's total revenue in rounds of all of our cards, all of our annual cards. You'll see things from annual, Kachina, Coyote, Twilight card, and along with this is the revenue that we collect at the counter. So we've added all of this up. So it's broken into two parts. If you look at the Kachina, for example, fourth line down, that's the revenue that was collected at the counter throughout the year, $1.3 million. And then if you go further down in there, it says earned Kachina card revenue, $586,000. That's the card price that we sold out of membership. Okay, so if you add those together, it's 1.8 million to the Kachina. And if you go through here, you can see that the non-member CNP, which used to be called Control Neighborhood Play, which was local areas like Portobello and Grand, some other communities that were 55 and older or active adult communities, is Controlled Neighborhood Play. It's part of the frequent public play too. That's $24,000 that was collected at the counter, and then the card was $18,000. Okay? So with that said, here are our average rates that we collect per card. So as you can see, guest fees, which would be guests of our residents, that's $58. Okay? Currently our rate is $78, but you got averages throughout the year. So we've got different rates. Our public player card is $57 per round, and they played a total of 762 rounds for the year. And then you can see the unlimited and the Twilight, so you can just see where everything is broken out, total revenue divided by number of rounds played. And then finally here you can see the number of cards that were sold and the average revenue per customer. So out of those 10 cards that were sold, each one of those represents about $4,300. Twilight has been active. That's been a good card for us as well. So you can see kind of how this distributes over a 12-month period. So just looking at this from my perspective, we've got 762 rounds of golf that are paying $43,000 for the year. And please understand, unless they're playing with a resident, they're not getting on the tee sheet more than 4 days in advance. But if they're playing with the residents, they could be on that tee sheet 7 days in advance. So just wanted to share that with you. I thought it was some good information. And then I've got this, but we'll talk about this a little bit later. Okay, and that's my report.
Okay, thank you, Pat. From the committee, any additional questions for Pat? Yes, sir.
Yeah, Pat, I asked you about a ice machine for Deer Valley. You got any update on that?
I don't. I need to get with Russ on that, and I'll find out for you on that. I sure will.
Thank you.
Rudy? I'm the one that brought up the non-resident unlimited card. And it's really a policy issue for me, not a revenue issue, because that's what we're charged with, is policy. And I think our mission, our vision, is to take care of the community folks first, Sun City West community. And I believe that it's time to let 10 people pay public rates for us. I also know that they get into the group play And they also then get on the tee sheet too. Now, that doesn't necessarily stop that. If they come in as a guest, which I think we have an awful lot of guest rounds, but that's a discussion for another day. But, so from a policy perspective, I would support eliminating the outside unlimited, if I get these words right, outside unlimited play card.
So it's just, we're talking semantics kind of. It's not unlimited in the sense that they pay as they go. So every time they step up and come in and play, they've got to pay.
Right, just like I do with a Kachina or, yeah.
Correct,
Correct.
correct.
No, I understand that.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
And I think we have a subcommittee, Vanessa, you might be doing that. So
Right, yeah, and Dave, we're gonna address that, but yeah, thank you for the input. And
Okay.
good point, that it's basically giving a discount to a non-resident, so,
Sure.
thank you very much. Any other
I
questions?
I have a couple of questions.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if the handicap at Grandview is going to be revisited. I think it has been over 10 years since it's been re-rated, and since
Okay.
I've had a lot of questions about that now that we're playing out of the desert. I think that the rating,
It has been re-rated.
okay, when was it re-rated?
We actually had it rated at the same time we had the temporary rating place, so it was 2 years ago. So they had a temporary rating created, and we work closely with the AGA, and it's every 10 years is what we get re-rated on every golf course. Trees grow up, fairway patterns change, whatever it might be. So 2 years ago, they created a temporary rating based on the free drop, and then they created a rating based on a non-drop, so it is in play.
So how did they do that rating? Did somebody come out and go hole by hole, or did they just,
Typically on something like that, where if they've rated it within the last couple of years prior to that, which they did, they can come out here and see what the changes are, and they can do it. It's a mathematical formula.
I have a couple other questions.
Sure.
I've had a couple of also conversations, it's something totally different. There's still an issue with the furniture at Grandview. The tables and chairs that are on the patio are terrific. You've still got the plastic white chairs in the parking lot, which is a
Oh, okay.
safety issue, along with those plastic tables. So just
All right.
wondering if
Yeah.
that's ever going to change, because that is a safety issue. We talked about it last year.
Sure, absolutely. So let me get with Jeff, because Jeff puts those out and picks them up. We supplied him with regular outing chairs like we used in our events, and tables as well. So for whatever reason, I wouldn't know why he would want to go back to that, but let me find out. It might be nothing more than his staff just doing what's easy and convenient. Yeah. But I'll check with Jeff and find out. Absolutely.
Pat,
Yes.
played Grandview this morning. Those white plastic chairs were out in the parking lot today.
This, the kind of the wobbly ones?
Well, the long white tables with the plastic chairs around them were all out in the parking lot.
Okay,
Today.
so he's got kind of to me, it's kind of like a wedding chair. And then we've got the ones that we do for the outings. And were they like that one?
Yes.
Okay, good. So those are the ones we supplied him.
I think that's the Lifetime, isn't that?
The
what we talked
Lifetimes,
about?
that is correct.
Looked at Lifetime
Yeah.
last year.
So if you see something different, please let me know.
Pat, can you go back to a couple slides? I think we had like the average cost. Yeah, that one.
Whoop.
Yeah, that second one down, frequent player, that's the frequent player card?
Correct.
So the fact that their average round is $57, does that mean they're playing mostly at prime times compared to the public is only paying $44?
Public would be paid 78.
But public on this is 44, it shows.
So please understand, this is over a 12-month period.
Okay,
So it's average. So public's is 78 during high season.
right,
And then it goes down to 40-something, 38 in the summer. So there's more rounds played with public designation.
okay,
And so, as you can see, there was 26,301 rounds. So you're averaging that many rounds in the rate, while with the public play, you're only averaging. So what I take away from this is a lot of the public players are playing at high dollar rates, and they're only playing 762 rounds. So they're playing, it's 2 rounds roughly a day for all year round, if you want to look at it that way. But yeah, it's a very,
But I think you're right, Rudy. This reflects that they're playing likely in prime time.
I mean, yeah, that's what I was getting at. So it's the people that have this card are playing at primetime golf compared to the public, which plays year-round and might play in afternoons or at twilight. So they're playing more, but they're playing at a lower rate.
yeah, go ahead.
This is Cliff, CFO. I helped Pat with this slide and this data, so I can speak to it a little bit too. You're correct. Just like the guests at $58 compared to the public,
They're playing prime
the
time.
frequent players, they're getting booked and playing in more prime time
That's my issue with
rounds.
this.
Yes.
All those are
If
players.
if you invest, and I just hope that these CMP cardholders aren't watching this, because we're making $4,300 per customer on a CMP card. I wish we had 100 CMP cards because we'd be making that many more dollars per customer, and they're not golfing that much. 10 customers golfed 762 times out of 320,000 rounds. Okay, so the business person in me, and I understand there's a balance because we're partially private and we are an HOA, but the business person in me looks at these numbers and says, why aren't we selling more of those? Because we're making very good money on them. So, but yes, if you see the rate higher for guests than public, it's because public are truly getting the scraps. They're truly getting here's what the leftover rounds are. And the guests are guests. So they're getting booked by members and they're getting better rounds. So therefore the rate's going to be a little higher per round than a public person.
Right, but the business person in me says, why do we have 30,000 guest rounds? 30,000 guest rounds, and should they not be more public? Because they're coming in on the lottery, they're coming in on the groups, and they're coming in prime time. I think you should really look at the trajectory of the guests if you're really thinking business long-term. You know, I believe if I have a guest, they should be playing public rates, and I actually think that they should be limited outside of prime time sometimes.
They are paying public rates. They're
Yeah.
paying, the rate's the same.
No,
for a
they're
guest
not.
and a
They're
public
not paying
person.
tax, right? So that's not true. Okay, thank you.
Well, we don't collect the tax and we remit that to the state. The rate's the same. It's the same rate.
Let me try to say this differently. The mission, the vision of Sun City West is to take care of the community players first. That would be what I tend to read about. Take care of your own first. The number of guest rounds has gotten, the trajectory has continued to go up and up and up and up. So as that goes up, my chances of getting a good tee time goes down.
Okay.
Because
But
they're going into, many of them are going into prime time, many of them are in groups, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, I've had this
yeah, but
comment before. So all I'm saying is, in the future here or whatever, I believe the definition of guest might have to change or whatever. I don't know. But a guest right now is anybody who says, hey, Joe, come on over from Portobello and play with me every week, twice a week, sometimes 3 times a week.
Could be.
right.
Yeah, I know, and that's the issue that
Yeah,
I'm having. That's the
Yeah.
issue I'm having, is they're getting on tee sheets before I even have a chance.
Yeah.
And
Well, it's-
that's a policy,
Yeah.
that's a policy issue.
There is a balance though, because if you can you go to the first slide, Pat, with
Yep.
the revenue in order? There's
one?
10.6 million there. Okay. 27% of that 10.6 million are people who aren't members here golfing. 27%. Can you go to the slide with the rounds? 314,000 rounds. It's only 18% of the rounds. So 18% of the rounds are driving 27% of the revenue. That's keeping rates down for our members. And that's why there's a balance there. And sometimes with that and with facilities that are open to the public, that's the risk that we're going to take. We try to minimize it by putting those tee times out there for the members first, but we're going to have some of that. But the reason for that, we're trying to find that right balance to try and keep rates down for our members. And our member rates, other than Sun City, which are only about $3 or $4 lower than ours, our member rates for our golf courses are the lowest by far than any member rate in Arizona.
And that's what I believe needs to change. We need to get competitive, not undercut. We need to take care of the residents, number one. We're on the same page, Kathy and I, because we've been turned down so many times. There's not room enough to play golf. And I'm being denied playing golf in my own community. And that's not right. My opinion, that guest should read 0.
Yeah. We are not
And-
private. We are not private. We're open to the public.
And that discussion is going to come up very soon.
Okay.
So let me just make a comment. Any changes that you make needs to make, it's like a cruise ship. You can't turn it on a dime. It's incremental over time to make the turn. But we're not even making an incremental. So what I'm trying to put on the table is we need to really sit down and begin to, what does Sun City West golf look like in 5 and 10 years? Nobody is having that discussion in terms of this. It's balancing the budget, it's finding that balance, it's making sure, but you know, you have to bite the bullet sometimes and make some tough decisions. Now, I don't know if going private is the thing to do right away or not, but you can begin to see the data. If we really could have a chance to sit down and study data and really look at it, I think we'll find that our Sun City West residents are getting blocked out by outside play in many times. So I'm not debating the balance, because I get that. I get that part. But it's really looking at, I'm starting to see a pretty good trend here, and is this the way we want to go? Which just means I have less chance of getting on the tee sheet.
For 7 golf courses, we have open times if you look at the whole year. Okay, so we do have, that's why
Cliff, I'm going to cut you off there. Certainly we have open times in the summer. There's no question about
No,
that.
let me finish. Okay. My point of saying this is there is no magic pill that we can automatically say and get our public here at the times we want them to golf, at the rates we want them to golf at, when we're competing against another 120 courses around us. Okay, so we do balance that when we put the budget together. And whatever the golfers don't pay is paid by public. Whatever the public doesn't pay is paid by dues and everybody else who doesn't golf. So it's not easy to just say we're going to go private or let's just charge those public people more. There's a very big balance, and it happens all in the budgeting process. And this is the data and analysis that we're showing you to show you, here's what we get per round. Here's how many rounds we have with these different golfer types.
I think she touched on it. We have to decide on what we want to do as a community. If we want to be competitive with the outside, I've heard way too many times out of Pat that I'm trying to make golf the cheapest I can in this community. I just heard it out of you. If that's the direction this community wants to go, is just offer cheap-ass golf, then we're going to turn into Sun City. I don't know of any of our residents here that leave here and go to Sun City. Why?
They're cheaper.
They're cheaper, but the courses are crap.
So if they're not doing that now, we must be doing it right. Because the courses are better.
They're better.
Okay.
But it looks
So
like
then,
we're
there you
going
go.
down that road in a hurry by keeping golf prices down so everybody can afford it. You know, you might not be able to afford it.
Yeah.
It's just a decision. What I would like to hear, what I read online is this is a premier, we went down this road last month, an active adult premier golf community. Somebody needs to define for me what the definition of premier is. Cheap golf? Or nice golf and it costs what it costs?
Well, it's just
So
not
what
those
I
two.
see
Cost
out of
is
the
not
Jared-
the,
what
is
I
not the
see
only
out of this
thing.
community is we just want cheap ass golf.
Yeah.
And be competitive
Yeah.
with all the little golf courses with Sun City.
Yeah, cost is not the only thing when you say premier golf. It's the fact that there's 7 golf courses in this community. That makes it premier. So there's more things. You're just measuring cost. But there's more things when you talk about premier golf community than that. So that's all I would say. Now, what your interpretation of those things are, that's up to everybody else. But when you
Okay.
say it has to be decided, what kind of community we want to be, it has been decided. So if you want to change that, then that's different. If you want to say, okay, I want to take up the charge to change how our community is when it comes to golf, then that's a different thing. But it has been decided and it has been determined. It is what it is now.
The vision statement, I'll read it to you. Sun City West is the active adult community of choice, providing exceptional golf, recreational amenities, and customer service. So I think we're talking semantics. What I think is exceptional golf and what you think is exceptional golf is two different things. My question is, what is the definition by the community of exceptional golf? And I'm willing to go down that road if
Yeah,
that's what
absolutely.
people want.
Sure.
Can I comment on something?
Absolutely. You got it.
Okay, so this was a few years ago, and we were looking at the impact of guest fees, public fees, and it's been a few years, and we can sure do this analysis, but if we took out public play at the time and didn't have any public play, it was just guests and residents, the revenue that we lost converted to $40 a person in additional dues. And that doesn't sound like a whole lot, but we have 25, 26 percent of our residents play golf. So the golfers would say, okay, that's not a bad deal. But now you got 75% of the residents looking at dues went up $40 and how am I benefiting from that? So just to put it in perspective, if we took out guest play, it worked out to be like $70 a player, and it was only residents that played. So that revenue has to come from somewhere in order to balance the budget. So just to kind of quantify it for you.
So, we didn't get here overnight,
Correct.
but it's continued to grow and grow and grow. And I think that's really what I'm trying to say. This is more of a policy issue. What direction are we taking? Who are we including in our community? Not everyone plays golf. Not everyone uses the pool. Not everyone, pays for maintenance in a social hall. I mean, our dues do.
Sure.
So I hear you on that argument. I can make that argument all day long on any other facility. So I wanted to set that aside.
Yeah.
So for me, it's the direction, it's the vision, it's the ability to think about how you make incremental change over time to avoid being a T in the road.
Good enough.
So those statistics that you just gave me, what year was that?
Oh, it had to be about 8 years ago.
8 years ago. So that was after this community was 100% private. I
Correct.
believe it changed, and I believe it was 2008, but I'm not sure that
07,
year.
08, correct.
This community operated golf totally 100% private. If that's what we did then, we can do it now. We just got to change the numbers.
Yeah. It's all about rounds. Yep.
There's a comment online, looks like from Bryce Stevens. Our courses are in better shape than most in the valley. We could demand a premium, but it's a balance. And removing 10 golfers from the roster is not where we start.
Anything else from the committee? If not, anyone, oh, Mr. Chen.
Just a quick comment. You eliminate guest play. I played here as a guest long before I bought a house. And I wonder how many other people that have moved here, that are golfers, moved here without ever golfing any of the courses or considering the cost of golf and the courses that we have and their decision. So I think you eliminate guest play, you're going to eliminate a lot of possible people moving to our community. So
We're not saying eliminate guest play, we mean public play. You could still have guests. Well,
Right, they're still, the guests are still public.
Well,
So-
but I mean, we're not saying that you have to be a resident only. A resident can have guests.
I know pre-2008, if you were a guest of a resident, your host had to play with you. You could not send your guests and say, "Hey, I played 4 times in a row. Just here, you can go play." You had to play with somebody with a rec card. That's a guest. So no way I would want to cut that out. Absolutely, but non-resident players, I think we have to look at to open up our tee sheets.
Anyone in the audience? Any comments? Okay. Thank you, Pat. Next, Mr. Todd Patty, Golf Maintenance.
All right, good afternoon. Just a couple updates on the overseeding on the last 3 courses, and then year-to-date water usage, and then a staff update and the USGA report as it relates to staffing. So overseeding update, we are seeing slower germination on the last 3 courses, which is normal, 6 to 7 days. Where on the first courses, I've seen germination in about 3 to 4 days. So it just has to do with the weather. But things are really looking good. I was out and about today looking at all the golf courses, and things are really starting to fill in. In fact, we started mowing today, and I know I put on here mowing operations, and so that changed from the time that I put this report together. So Deer Valley, Desert Trails, and Pebblebrook are all starting to mow today, either tees or greens. And so once you start mowing, you're kind of locked in. So from here on out, so I think we're going to be in great shape. The other thing too, that we can get those heights down on the greens and in the tee boxes and also the fairways on the last courses with the cooler weather than we could on the first courses. So I think we're going to be in great shape. One thing we did this year, we used a different type of ryegrass seed. It was a 3-way perennial blend. And for probably the last 15 years, we've been using an intermediate seed, which has got a turf type annual in it. So it's a 60-40 mix. And the reason that we were using that ryegrass is it was easy to transition, because back in the day, we really had a hard time transitioning from winter ryegrass over to the Bermuda grass. And so what I'm seeing out there today is better color. We haven't even fertilized any of our ryegrass, which is good. Slower growth in the winter season. That means less mowing, so that's a big advantage too. And it requires less nitrogen inputs, so that's a fertilizer savings in our operating budget. So I'm really pleased with this grass, and I think that we're going to continue to use this from here on out. And again, we use that intermediate seed because of the ease of transition. So it did work for us. But you know what? Nowadays we've got so many tools that we can use for transition now. We can chemically remove the ryegrass, and then we can have some other cultural practices that we use to get rid of the ryegrass. So we really don't need that transition type grass anymore. So as a reminder, courses reopen on Tuesday on the 18th. No cart path restrictions at this point, unless we get some weather event that rolls in, but I'm not seeing that. And please keep the carts on the cart path and use the 90-degree rule. And then our year-to-date water usage, we're really doing pretty good this year. We had that 2 inches of rain, I think it was that first week in October, which was a big help. We're 285 acre feet less than what we used last year, and we were under our total allotment for the year last year. And so we've entered a new management plan with ADWR, the fifth management plan, so it did reduce our allotments a little bit. But I think we're going to be in great shape. I really do. We have 590 acre feet remaining for the year, for the next 2 months. So I think we're going to be under our conservation allotment again, and that's going to make it about 12 years in a row. And I credit that to, well, the project that we did over at Grandview, Echo Mesa, our shoreline projects. And so that's, I know we spent a lot of money on those projects, but, you know, we're saving a lot of water, and so that's good. All right, just a staff update. And this organizational chart that I put together, I just updated it a couple days ago. But you can see that we're 11 positions down, which isn't too bad. 2 greenskeeper 3s, 1 mechanic. I think he's onboarding at this time, so hopefully we'll have that filled by this time next week. 3 assistants, 2 irrigation techs. Looks like we're onboarding an irrigation tech, so that's going to help. And then 4 greenskeepers. So we have a budgeted total of 86 employees. And so we're standing at 75 right now. So, you know, I actually feel pretty good about where we're at with our staffing. For the first time in a long time, we've got new applicants in. We actually have people that are on staff that are stepping up and wanting to take some of these positions, like mechanic and assistants, and also the irrigation techs, which we haven't had for a long time. So I actually really feel good about where we're at. Still got a ways to go, but you know, I work with the HR department, and they've been a big help in getting these applicants in and getting them on board. So again, I think we're going in the right direction. You know, for years we suffered in not getting people in. So, you know, you hear about Amazon and all the layoffs and everything like that. So I don't know if that's going to actually help us down the road in getting some of those people to come in and work. I think summertime's always going to be a tough time with the heat. But if we can get them on board and show them that this is really a great place to work, our benefits are great. If we can do that, I think we're heading in the right direction. So I know you received this USGA report from Brian Whitlark, the director of the West Region. He covers Arizona, California, New Mexico, Nevada, and also Hawaii. So he gets out there, he sees a lot of golf courses in his travels. So I know you've seen this before, but his experience in 18-hole golf course, you need a total of 13 to 16 employees for quality conditions. And then higher end golf courses, 18 to 23, and then the private, anywhere from 25 to 40 employees. Sun City West golf courses, we average just over 11 or just under 12 employees. That's fully staffed, and that is the budget number. And so again, we're not far away from that 13 to 16. We're getting closer. We really are. And I hope by the end of the winter, we'll be there. One thing that's really helping us out, we have an outsourced crew. It's called Soulcrest Turf and Ornamental, and we've been using them for a while. We use them over at Grandview for desert maintenance, and we've been using them at Echo Mesa now that we have the new desert landscape over there. And I've talked to Cliff about this, about increasing that outsourced crew during the summer months, because that's when our workload really picks up. You know, grass is growing, our irrigation needs increase, and the trimming and all that. So this would be a roaming crew that would go around to all 7 golf courses. They would perform desert maintenance, weed control, tree maintenance, trimming, removing, replacement, and then the detail work. We've already used them while we were closed for overseeding. We use them to edge bunkers. We train them to do that. So this is a huge help to us. And that concludes my report.
Okay, thank you. Any questions for Todd?
Yes. Todd?
Yes.
Were they just at Deer Valley?
Yes, they
Soulcrest?
were. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they were at Deer Valley, Trail Ridge, and they were over at Pebblebrook as
Yeah.
well.
I observed them as they were going down the fairway,
Okay.
and they had like 3 sections. You'd have 2 guys doing one thing and 2 guys coming behind them, and
Yeah.
one picking up everything. It seemed like they were doing a very good procedure.
Yeah.
You know, in that thing. How cost effective is
Very,
this?
very cost effective. I think Cliff might be able to speak to that, but you know, we're not paying benefits for this crew,
Okay.
workman's comp.
Okay.
And so I actually think it's, to have them on board per person is less than bringing somebody on board.
So that's an option to look at to get towards that other number that we would like to go towards?
Yes.
Okay.
Todd, is our, go back to that slide that said 11.8. That's, yeah, yeah, right there. 11.8 is fully staffed. What number are we at now? 8? You understand
No,
my question?
that is the number. That is the budgeted number.
I know.
of green-
What are we at now, though?
We are, it was on that other slide. A little over 10.
Go back to that number again. Okay, so we're a little over 10 now. And then we have about 11 openings or something like that, 10 or 11 openings.
That's if we were fully staffed, we would be at that 11.85.
So let me ask you about robotic mowing. Is that something that would help you or not?
Yeah, I think we have a ways to go. As you know, we demoed several units, or a couple of units this summer over at Echo Mesa on the range floor. I mean, it did
I mean,
a good
but
job. We
well,
didn't have to.
my question is, would it help you to have more robotic mowing there? Because that's something that's real and tangible, that's not an employee, that, you know, obviously you got some technology to learn there, but that's where these generations are coming from with technology.
No, absolutely, and we're looking at that, and that's why we're doing these demos. to
So
kind of-
maybe we need to step that up a little bit.
Yep, absolutely, and I've got another
I-
demo coming in, but that, we are looking at that in the future. Absolutely.
I say now, not future.
Okay.
I know, you're being political.
I just have a couple of questions. Echo Mesa looks terrific. I'm wondering why there was so much grass left on the left side of the 10th hole, though.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't even really notice until a mower went by and I went, oh, look how much grass they left over there. Just,
Was that?
I'm just curious. And my second question,
It is on the right-hand side.
left side of number 10, fairway.
That was in the rough, right?
Yep, lots of grass there still. Just curious. My other question is, I see in the budget for 2026, 75,000 allocated to slurry seal at Echo Mesa. Was that not done during?
Yes, that
Under
was-
the 5 million on the reno?
Yeah.
So
that
why
was
is there
separate from
another
that, but we did-
75
we
on the
completed
books, so
that.
for the 2026?
Yeah, we did complete that right before opening.
But it's in the R&R for under 2026, not 25, which is what we're in.
Okay.
So I'm just wondering why that other $75,000 is there when it's already been done.
One's capital item.
It's, let me see here, where is it, slurry?
Slurs, no.
No, I had it on here somewhere. Oh, yeah, here. Golf, maintenance, Echo Mesa, R&R, cart path, slurry seal, 75,000 under 2026 budget. I'm looking at the summary of the capital expenses.
Yeah, that was done.
So why is it in 2026 book, not 2020?
It was included with capital improvement, but it wasn't in that project. That is all line item.
Right.
We are in 25. We're at
Okay, so that 5,532,000 did not include a 75,000 slurry cart path? Seriously? I think just,
There's a lot of things to do.
Pat, just one, excuse me, Todd.
Yes.
Of your 86 budgeted positions, are those all full-time positions?
Yes, they are.
And so the 11-person shortfall is also all full-time?
Yes,
And
all
would the majority of those be like greenskeeper type people, or are you short mechanics? What generally is your shortage?
Well, probably more greenskeepers, but I do have some other key positions that I'm sort of the GK3 mechanic assistants. I had 3 assistant positions open. Hopefully that's going to drop down to 2, but and the irrigation tech. So it's kind of a mix of everything.
So this third-party company that you're now brought in, is that not a good recruiting pool? If you've trained them, they know the job. We offer great benefits. Seems like a no-brainer that they wouldn't want to come to work full-time here.
Yeah, absolutely. And I believe we've already picked up one off of their group. So, yeah, so that's the idea. Yeah.
Okay, we have no questions online, but anybody from the audience, question for Todd? All righty, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, Mr. Swan, financials, although we've already talked money, so.
Well, let's keep talking about it. All right. Okay, 3 months, first quarter of the year in the books. Again, still kind of early days when it comes to golf, because we're just starting to hit our stride a little bit, coming up here in the fourth quarter of the calendar year and second quarter of the operating year. But through the first 3 months, compared to budget, we're 61,000. So we're really right on budget in terms of golf revenue. Looking at the rounds, about 1,900 rounds ahead of budget. We didn't keep the same pace as we did the first 2 months, but October, a little spoiler, October was more favorable, so that was good. But through September, 1,900 favorable in rounds for the year. Pretty equal distribution between member and non-member. And that's really, in our analysis, looking at it, it's really just attributable to the weather. The weather's just been so much nicer the first quarter, the first 4 months of this year versus last year. Okay, speaking of last year, 66,000 overall favorable to prior year. Again, rounds, we budgeted off of last year, so the rounds are pretty comparable to budget. Now, if we look at the revenue, the different revenue types, we talked about these cards earlier. So the card revenue itself, looks like we saw a little drop off in the Kachina card and Coyote card last year. We think some of those people moved to Unlimiteds and Twilights. And that's evidenced by the revenue here with the limited card. The revenue, the fee that we charge went up a little bit, but in the first 3 months, we wouldn't have seen that type of revenue increase. It really is what happened last year during the year in terms of people buying up unlimited cards or switching to a Twilight card, maybe off a Coyote card.
Cliff, just as a friendly, again, the percentages don't help me unless I have numbers with them to have a sense of how they changed from the previous year.
The numbers are there.
No. No, 3% of what?
Oh, the numbers are here. 3% of the golf revenue.
No, of the number of cards.
Oh, we're talking revenue. We're not talking cards, but the cards do get presented. They're on the financial statement of the financial statement. So if you want to know the number of cards sold, I mean, Pat can probably put that together for you. Okay. All right. So golf greens fees. So the greens fees that apply to those cards that people pay if they pay a greens fee, or if they just have a resident greens fee or a non-member greens fee, we're up 42,000, and that's up 11%. You can see which kind of greens fee areas are up and down. Now we do include, this is over prior years, so there are golf fee increases in here. So they're not really driven necessarily to rounds. It could just simply be driven because of the fee increase as well. So we look at the golf fees trending report. We can see what we have to look forward to for the rest of the year. We're pretty much right on budget. I mean, we're a little bit ahead of budget, a little bit ahead of last year. And again, for the first 3 months, we're not really driving sales yet right now. So those will start to pick up as we, hopefully, if they pick up at the same rate, that'd be very good. We'd be back on the pace for 320,000 rounds again. Same with the rounds. Okay, so looking at the expenses compared to budget, we're 80,000 favorable right now. The repairs and maintenance, the 68,000 unfavorable. We had 20,000 in treatments for our wells that we did not anticipate. And so we had a couple of our wells develop a algae or a bacteria, and we actually had to treat those wells to the tune of 20,000. So that was kind of an unexpected expense. So that's 20,000 of it. And there actually is 30,000, approximately 30,000 in expense that's actually attributable to the Echo Mesa irrigation project. Some of them got coded to expense and error. We're backing those out. Those are going to be backed out in October and moved to the capital project, about 30,000 in turf and sand. And what else did we find in there? Yeah, a couple valves. And anyway, we did some analysis on it and found that we had some stuff get coded to expense because we were using the same vendors to do it instead of moving it to the capital improvement project. So those are going to get moved out in October. So you should see that swing the other way in October, that large negative variance to the tune of 30,000 just from that. But right on budget, pretty much with everything else. Obviously some savings to budget with those open positions. But some of that is being offset by those outside services that Todd was talking about earlier, doing some of the work that we can't get to with our staff because we're not fully staffed. Okay, looking at compared to prior year, about 83,000 on the expense side, unfavorable to prior year, mostly budgeted for, of course. So looking at the wages and benefits, right on with 2026 budget for the most part, a little bit under obviously what we just reported on the financial statement itself, but that's what the wages will look like as we continue to go throughout the year. And then all other expenses pretty much right on budget. So overall, we've operated through September at a $2 million deficit. I will remind you, the community does subsidize golf currently to the tune of $1.2 million a year, approximately. So right now we're at a $2 million deficit. That's where we stand right now. Obviously, when we get busier, that'll swing the other way, and we'll be profitable in golf, so to speak. If profits, let's not use profit, cash inflow. And then the last 2 months, it'll be a cash outflow again. But right now, 2 million right now in the red, but 141,000 favorable to budget and 17,000 favorable to prior year. And that concludes my financial presentation.
I want to emphasize that the $2 million deficit, because I read people complaining that the golf committee didn't say anything about a $2 million deficit, that it's seasonal and it will pick up. So I just want folks to know that we are cognizant of this and that we will be watching this, but it should change.
Yes, absolutely. It ends up at about 1.1 to 1.2 million a year by the end of June.
And we subsidize other facilities
Absolutely.
in Sun City West.
I've got my pool slide that I put up every year, what we spend on pools. And it's more on pools per pool than it is on golf course. So we spend more than $150,000 per pool. Well, I got to hear from all sides. So it's a balancing act.
Yeah, Cliff, could you go back a couple slides to where you had
Sure.
the expenses for landscape maintenance and I think it was repairs and maintenance?
Yes.
Yeah,
To budget?
Yeah, right.
Okay,
Yeah, right
yep.
there.
Yep.
The lines 3 and 4. What actually is funded by those two lines, landscape maintenance and repairs and maintenance?
Okay, good question. So landscape maintenance is things like seed, fertilizer, chemical. So all those overseeding costs go into landscape maintenance. Sand, any kind of, I guess anything pertaining to the actual course itself that's landscape. All right. And then when you're talking about repairs and maintenance, it would be repairs to equipment, to the grounds, so the outside services that we pay for Soulcrest, that's going to be in repairs and maintenance. Trees, things like that. So really more course-related type golf course-related playability things are in landscape maintenance, and more repairs to those facilities. And it's not just the courses, it could be a repair to the patio or it's also the stuff in operations as well, if there's repairs and maintenance there.
So the money that pays
Parts.
for outsourced maintenance, that comes from repairs and maintenance?
It does.
Or from wages?
Repairs and maintenance.
Repairs and maintenance,
Mhm.
okay. But so we really don't budget up front for how much we're going to outsource for the whole year.
We do,
We actually do?
we do, but if we go over budget in that area, it's because we're under budget in wages and benefits. So the favorability in wages and benefits offsets the additional funds spent for outside services.
I mean, because part of the issue is we generally see we underspend on wages because we're short a few people.
Yes.
But the fact is, money from that line item would go to pay for outsourced maintenance.
Yes, it would offset it. So we don't actually move the money. That's why you see the favorability and the unfavorability, but it does offset those costs. Now, with those outside services, we're doing the things that have to get done versus if we were fully staffed, we could do the things not only have to get done, but create that better experience for our golfers. So it's always better to have the staff. I always say it'd be like giving someone a paintbrush and tell them to paint this whole place. They could paint for days, forever, and by the time they got done, they'd have to restart. So there's plenty to do. When we put the budget together, we put it together to do all the little things too, at below industry average even. So that USGA report, I mean, on one hand, it says, well, you guys really are understaffed. But on the other hand, it says the expectation levels that you have for the staff that you have are mind-boggling. I mean, if you read that full report, it details it. It says specifically the expectation levels for the staff that is there is far beyond what the staff is. We do have exceptional equipment, and we do have a captive audience, so that helps. But yeah.
I have a question. For the untrained eye, and I assume some of this will go out when you put it in the rec center news and whatever for
Yes.
proposal. Would you be opposed to having a line item itself just for the outside work so people understand that there is that out of repairs? Because I would not have
Yeah.
looked to repairs and maintenance. I more likely would have looked towards landscape maintenance.
Yeah.
But as a line item for the untrained eye,
Yeah.
I would look at that.
Well, we have these categories, right? Okay. And if you go to the actual financial statement that's attached to this meeting, it's even more detailed. We do roll up a couple of things even in here. Outside services is not one of them. It's not a line item. And in the grand scheme of things, it's just, when we put the budget together, we put all the detail of all those things like outside services and everything there. So we do budget that way and we do explain it that way, or when we're in meetings like this, but we don't post a line item detailed financial statement every month. It's just
I get
just
that.
not something we do.
I just.
Yeah, I hear you. But yeah, that's yeah.
We have one online comment.
Yes, from Paul Banstra. Kudos to Todd and his crew. They do a great job. I'm proud to bring guests to our courses.
Okay, if no more questions from the committee, anyone in the audience?
No kudos for me.
Kudos.
Thank you.
You bring a great.
Thank you.
Had to break it down.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Moving on, we have a new staff member that has replaced Carl Wilhelm. So, Mr. Erno, who's introducing him?
He's introduced himself.
Oh, okay, please.
Good afternoon. My name's Herschel Workman. As you said, I will be replacing Carl. Carl's been taking me around all week long and showing me the ropes. And I've absorbed a lot, but there's a lot I haven't absorbed. So hopefully I will. Just to give you a little bit about my background, I came here from the town of Wickenburg. I was the Public Works Director in Wickenburg for the last 7 years. There I was in charge of water, wastewater, streets, facilities, parks and facilities, streets and sanitation. I was the airport manager, so I wore a lot of hats there, and I did several CIP projects up there as well. Prior to that, I was a construction project manager for the Federal Aviation for 33 years. My background is in civil engineering. I'd worked in Chicago for 25 years and Atlanta for almost 9. So I moved out to Wickenburg in 2018, and now I've moved on here to Sun City West, and I'm looking forward to getting to work soon. So thank you.
All righty, thank you and welcome. Moving on then to 4.02. At our last meeting, we actually formed 2 working groups, but the one working group was going to look at policy G04, which was the use of powered golf vehicles, because we have a number of 4-passenger golf vehicles. We have golf vehicles that are actually using the, let's say, wrong type of tires that could do damage to our grass. And the other is the non-resident play, which we've discussed already today, but I put together a little charter that will be given to the governing board, and I think everyone reviewed it. I didn't really get back too many comments on it, so I'll move that forward. Mr. Eichner is chair of the committee, and you will be scheduling all the meetings for the committee.
Correct,
Working group, excuse me.
correct. And our first meeting is November 12th at 1:30 at the Golf Ops Conference Room.
Thank you. And then as part of that, we did form it's not on the agenda, but we did form a second working group. But for the moment, that's kind of on hold, as I'm going to ask Mr. Erno if he could briefly address, the community will be doing a community-wide survey, and there will be a number of golf-related questions in that survey. So looking at, once we hear what they're doing, we may not have to do our own independent survey, which would be something totally different. Mr. Erno, thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Director Grum and committee. So a couple of things that are happening. First of all, on the strategic plan for the association, there is the direction from the governing board to conduct a member satisfaction survey on an annual basis, and that's going to be starting here this year. And we are formulating that survey. It actually will be put out, we're hoping in December, January at the latest, but it's looking like it'll come out here in December. And that will be going out, and it does have a number of questions on there related to golf and the condition of golf courses, as well as condition of all of our facilities and things like that. So that will absolutely cover much of what you were looking to do. In addition to that, though, we want to be mindful of the fact that we are soon going to be awarding the contract for the master plan that's coming out. And the master plan, of course, will include, among many other things, surveys as well. So certainly what we don't want to do is over-survey everybody. And I do want to just kind of, because it was mentioned also earlier about what the community wants for the golf. And just to be clear, that's what the master plan is about. Not just for golf, but for the entire community. So when you talk about what does a community want, that's where those answers are going to come from initially, at least, is through that master planning process, through the community engagement, through those surveys, through the website, through those focus groups, all the things that consultant will be hired to do. Those will be where that information comes from. So just wanted to, Director Grom asked me to kind of clarify some of that information about where the direction of that was coming from, so I was happy to do that.
Any questions? Sure.
How many golf questions?
I don't remember the exact number. There's quite a number of them.
It seems to me that you bypassed the golf committee. I
Yes.
thought that was our job. You went and got a consultant. Nobody came to the golf committee and had any questions for us.
Yeah, that's correct. So the resident satisfaction survey is an operational matter that was directed by the governing board, as well as the master plan was an operational matter directed by the governing board. Honestly, even the desire to do a survey out of this committee would be inappropriate. There's no mechanism for you to be able to do a survey. That would be an operational thing. And you don't have the ability to direct staff to do that. So you're going to achieve the same results. It's just going to be done in a different manner.
So, Steve, I think I would disagree just a little bit. As a leader, I wouldn't tend to go out with a survey without talking to the stakeholders. I think we're a stakeholder. So I do think you missed a step there. It would have been helpful. Do we have the power to put a survey out there? No, we would come to you to ask to put out a survey. I'm guessing that probably the survey is not going to cover as deep and wide as we wanted to go in terms of some golf-specific questions. You know, like, are the red tees placed properly on Grandview? You know, I'm sure that's not a question. So, and that's a real concern, or a real question. So I do feel a little bit that we have been bypassed. And I'm not sure what our purpose is. If we can't do anything, if we can't suggest, if we can't get involved, I think we're missing something. As a leader, I would just think you would want to get some input and come back and say, here's the survey, here's our 10, 12, 20 questions, I don't know how many there are. You know, what do you think? Are we in there? And we might say, hey, great direction. But right now, you got us all sitting back like, oh yeah, thanks for asking us.
Yeah. Well, again, the resident satisfaction, the member satisfaction survey is broader than golf. So absolutely. And then again, it would be an operational thing for us to do. I hear what you're saying, but the reality is that there's things that we need to do that we can't engage everybody all the time on everything. I mean, we do engage a lot with folks, and we do want to make sure we capture those things, but we feel as though the survey that's put out is going to capture what we're looking for, which is basically finding out from the members how they feel about the golf experience, as well as all of our amenities and how we're performing, that we can use for benchmarking going forward, and driving basically decisions as to where we need to invest in the future, along again with that master planning, looking at what is it the members want. And that's really what we're looking to get from these surveys, is what is it how they feel about the things that are being offered, as well as what do they want for the future. So I hear what you're saying. There's just the reality is sometimes we just can't engage everybody all the time.
It would have taken 20 minutes.
Anyone on the committee, any additional questions? Or okay, thank you, Mr.
Thank you.
Okay, we are going to talk about the movement of the range ball machines, and I don't know if you want to lead it off, Vanessa, or Pat has some slides in his presentation.
All right, this is a revisit to last spring, I believe it was May. So the challenge or the comments were made as far as, let me see where we are here. How do we get our range machines off our patios? Because our patios are pretty active. We've got people out there using them. Currently, we have 2 of our range machines, our dispensers, one at Grandview and one at Pebblebrook. Would still like to try to get those covered, and that's been discussions. So covering those and then trying to move the other ones off the patio. Part of the scope of the work is to get power to those range tees. Both Pebble and Grandview have gone through improvements to attach power to the back of the tee, and it's not at one spot, it's at 2 other different locations to maximize the project. So in other words, if there's some of you that were here, it's been about 6-7 years ago, we did a movie on Grandview's tee box. It was a night movie. It was Christmas Vacation, I believe is what it was. And we were able to blow up a screen and power a projector, and it was during the Christmas season, so we had power at different outlets. So with that said, what you're seeing in front of you is to try to treat each of the tee boxes the same way. In other words, run power from the clubhouse out to the range tee at 3 different locations, and then also cover the machine. That's big for us because we've got some computer components in there that we really want to try to protect to get the maximum life out of each of these machines. Here is a picture of Deer Valley where we were, and I'll have pictures of other locations that we saw an importance to have the location, as you can see in the red box, and then the receptacles, electrical receptacles on each end of the T. So these locations were determined by line of sight with the pro shop, if at all possible, and then convenience where the machine could be located. And typically where you put a machine is halfway on the length of the T, because if you favor one side or another, that's where the wear patterns are going to be. So you're trying to even out the wear. People are going to get a bucket of balls and walk to the shortest distance to hit it, right? So if you put it in the middle of the tee box, they can go either way and it spread out the wear patterns. So going through that, here are the plans down the road at some point to try to implement this. Again, there's other things that we've got to consider, the parking lot or the paved areas. When are we touching these as far as improvements to the clubhouse? And I'll use Pebblebrook for an example. We did this, it was the second one we did. Grandview was number one, Pebblebrook was number two. And when we got into the project, we found that we had to add an extra electrical panel, which added additional costs to the project. So these things we're all looking at, and I believe those were evaluated through these costs from our prior capital improvement project manager, and this is what we landed on. So not a cheap process. We're trying to do it when it makes sense, but there are some things that do need to get done, absolutely. And that's all I have to say.
Okay, so I think you can take half that money and take it from what you've got budgeted, mini golf shade cantilevers for $50,000. Why? I ask, why are you putting cantilevers over the mini golf at Beardsley for $50,000? It doesn't generate any revenue. It's rarely used, and it certainly isn't used in the summer when it's hot and you would need those cantilevers. So if you take that $50,000, that's half the budget for moving the ball machines. That's my thought.
Well, I know that those, I'll see.
So just to clarify, first of all, those were brought forward because there were several trees removed that removed shade, first of all. But despite the reason why it was brought forward, the reality is that's been approved by the governing board, and that is the direction. Again, we talk about policy and operations. The policy decision was to tell us you need to put in Cavaliers into that areas, and they have now directed us to do that. So we can't pull money from a project that's been approved by the governing board and put it on something else.
Well, I don't agree, because some of that money last year that was left over for the furniture at the other courses was then moved to cover the cost of the furniture at Grandview. And why are you putting cantilevers on a mini golf that doesn't generate any money? I don't understand that. $50,000, that's too much.
I believe it. Sure. I believe I've answered that question, but yeah, that's the direction we were given by the governing board. So.
Oh, you're okay.
Okay.
I just wanted to know, can you explain, I missed it, the two extra receptacles, those are
Yeah.
for?
So so the question was, why are we having two other additional receptacles put out there? Comparatively speaking, they're very inexpensive to do. And so if we're going to do the project, let's do it so that we can maximize that. So case in point, over at Pebblebrook, when we do night golf, we use the FAR receptacle to do music. We've got some electrical things blow up, Santa Claus, things of that nature. So we use it. And if we ever somewhere down the line need to move that range machine, we've got other choices rather than running another line. So from a cost effectiveness, it's a good way to go.
Will it come off that main
It will.
Okay.
It will, and it does. Yes.
Pat, is there a reason that the dispensers for the balls need to be enclosed on three sides? Isn't covering the top adequate?
It's covered on two sides. The sides, the front and the back are open, if I'm not mistaken. We didn't want the back covered because we didn't want it so that there's somebody could be behind there, hide, because we have people coming in before sunlight and they go out and check the range machine. So we wanted two reasons: not to have a place where people can do things they shouldn't be doing, and also give access to the lids where they load the balls. So it's more or less weather protecting, irrigation protection, and sunlight protection.
It would seem to me that we've put up a lot of shade areas all over the place, like we did at Desert Trails. Put the canvas shades up above and you have poles. It would seem to be much less expensive to put up 4 poles and some type of canvas shade over it.
Right, and I think the intent on this was to do it so that it had a life expectancy of, rather than 1 or 2 or 3 years. It was a structure that would have an expectancy of 10 years, let's say. Something that would we even priced out, you go to a Lowe's or a Home Depot, and they've got those pre-built deals, structures, sheds, if you will. The base models don't fit our needs. It's a custom piece of equipment is what it is.
So with that in mind, does the committee wish that we move forward with this as a budgeted item to be done? Cliff, would this would probably be a capital improvement project based upon the cost?
Yeah, these would be included in our capital improvement budget. We probably would align them with closures
Yes.
and timing wise. So we'd probably spread them out over the time that the courses were closed. So we maybe tackle 2 or 3 a year, I would say. And if you wanted something in this year's capital improvement presentation for 26-27, which starts in July, we'd have to add them. We don't currently have them on there, but we're coming under the crunch, but we have time to add them.
Right. And along with the timing of that, we would tie it in with the resurfacing of all the blacktop, things of that nature. And I know we've got a few of those projects this year, so I haven't looked that closely at it, which ones they are.
Okay, yeah, we'd have to do some saw cutting. And yeah, so we would just align it properly with whatever the maintenance that we had going on.
And the course closure, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if you want to put that together, maybe he could put that together, what that would look like at the next golf committee. You take a look at that timing wise.
Well, the first item would be, as a committee, do we want to actually move forward with moving these range ball machines at some point in the future?
Answer me this, Pat. Sure. Because I respect your opinion so highly. If you had $150,000, is this what you would want to do of all the things that need to be fixed and done? Would you choose this as your number one place to spend $150,000?
This isn't in my top 10, no.
Thank you.
Maybe that should be on the survey, because a lot of golfers, it is their top 10.
So, from the committee, do we want to move this forward and possibly still get it for at least a couple of these in the next year in the capital budget, or not? I have 3 yeses. No? Is that a yes or a no? No, wait, no. If we don't move it forward, then it's,
Let me ask
Doesn't go
this,
anywhere.
out of the Trail Ridge budget from this past year, we came in under budget on that? Todd, who answers that one? We closed Trail Ridge and Echo Mesa this past year. Were both of those budgets under? I think they both were. Under what was budgeted for
Yeah, if
those
you're- if you-
courses?
Yeah, if you're
I think-
referring to the Echo Mesa, the irrigation project,
Yes,
I think that's going to be slightly over.
it's going to be over.
Yeah, a little bit.
And how
yes.
about Trail Ridge?
Trail Ridge, we didn't have any capital expenses over there. That was all in-house projects funded through the operating budget, through the grounds account.
Okay.
So let me expand on my question, Pat. What would be your first $150,000 project that you would like to see accomplished?
From a revenue producing standpoint, which I tend to kind of look at it that way, our biggest concern or our biggest challenge is expanding our cart fleet. But $150,000 wouldn't go very far in order to accomplish what we need to have happen. And that would be to add to our fleet, be able to put carts under lock and key, and that cart would create additional revenue. Not that the range doesn't create revenue.
Pure revenue.
It wouldn't accumulate it as quickly as cart rentals would.
Okay.
So outside of special events, how often do you run out of rental carts?
During peak season, probably 5 times a week. At some course or at all of the courses. Grandview's better because of the fleet size. So again, biggest fleet I have is 40 at Grandview. The other 3 regulations, I have 20. And the executives, I have 13 to 14. So it doesn't take too many foursomes that are either guests or outside play to replenish 14 carts.
well, I think I'm looking at 3 yeses and possibly 3 nos. Is that, or you're not going to vote?
He's abstaining.
Let me ask you this. If we use the how do I want to say this? The wages and benefits that we alluded to was used to help balance some overages before. If we don't fill the full staff for golf, why wouldn't we use those extra funds to fund this? It's already in the budget. Because you want it, right?
That's in the operating fund and the operating budget, not the capital improvement budget. So we can't intermix the funds. The capital budget is separate from the operating budget.
Right.
Yeah. So we can't do that. Now, we could potentially have, it's too early days right now. We could have some savings in our capital improvement budget this year, but we won't know that till later on in the process once we've completed most of the projects and have them PO'd and paid for. So that would be an opportunity for savings, but again, that would have to be looked at later on in the year, and then it would have to be moved forward from this committee to the governing board to request that those savings be used to do something like this. So it either goes in the operating budget, it either goes in the capital improvement budget for 26-27 through recommendation from this committee, or not for next year's capital improvement budget. Or this year's committee waits, and potentially there's a potential for some capital improvement savings. They could request from the governing board to use those savings to do one or two of these projects. Those would be like the two funding routes.
And how many other requests would there be for
Oh,
any
boy.
savings
Get in
in the
line.
CIP? I mean, I think if we want to do this, we need to get it in the CIP. There's plenty of time later on for the board to listen to arguments as to whether they want to keep it in the CIP or not. But if it's not in the CIP, I don't think you're ever going to see it accomplished. You need to either get it in there or not.
I have a comment on, I think it's for Deer Valley, Trail Ridge, Echo Mesa, the ones down there, I don't, would be a low priority from my perspective, because like I said, it does not generate any revenue at all. It's not going to determine whether somebody buys range balls or not. Pebblebrook and Grandview, those are already done, and I think those need to be enclosed so they don't be so they're not damaged. So I would say that the 20,000 for that should be something to be somewhat of a priority, because those are already sitting out there.
What are the two courses next year that are closed?
That would be Deer Valley and Desert Trails.
Then put them in that budget.
Okay, then rephrase the question. Would we consider putting Pebblebrook and Grandview plus Deer Valley and Desert Trails in the capital improvement budget for next year? How does the committee feel about that?
For those courses, I agree.
Oh, for those four?
Yeah.
Pardon
And
me?
that appears,
Put it in the CIP.
Put it in the CIP.
Okay.
And we can still accomplish that. Okay? Oh. Right. Okay, and we won't, although we have a recommendation now to do this, we won't give it at tomorrow's meeting. Okay. Okay. And then the board will decide. So we've got two enclosures and two actual movements with enclosures, and we'll take it from there. Okay, thank you. It's right. That's about half of the total cost. Okay. Before we move on to comments, it's not listed under new business, but we've already discussed this to some degree, the idea of possibly privatizing, getting rid of public play in the future. Do we want to put that on the agenda for new business next month to more formally discuss it, along with part of our policy on tea times and group play is to get an annual report on the utilization of group play, and I'd like to put that on the agenda for next month. So could we discuss, or would we look to discuss privatizing next month, or is that something we don't want to do?
I think that's a separate issue from group play. I think I'd like to have some discussion from the committee about reforming the group play now to see if we want to put it on the agenda and for next month.
Okay, well then I will put it on the agenda as a discussion item, and we'll get the annual report on group play usage, which will help us maybe better discuss it.
Well, Pat, you and I have talked about this. Do you have, I assume that you have a presentation of what you and I talked about to reform group play?
Yes, we've presented a group play present topic numerous times in the past. Kathy has been involved with some of that a little bit. We can give you a brief overview of what group play is about, where it started, where it came and where we are. Please note that years ago, when the lottery system and our tea time distribution system wasn't quite as proficient as it is now, it filled a void, but we've got technology now that would really be able to support groups up to 40, that if people want to play together, they can go into the lottery. And this seems to come up during this time of year because of the overseeding, and we've got groups or courses closed, and so there's a compaction issue. And then once we get into December, it starts, spreading out the play. But absolutely, we've got we'll update the numbers, but we can share with you what group play is and has been, and where we currently are, and all that good stuff.
So to inform the rest of the committee, Pat and I probably spent two hours together this week trying to come up with some alternatives. I believe both of us have come up with some alternatives in reforming group play that would benefit the whole entire community and make it fair for every resident in this community.
Yeah, everybody pays the same dues, so you should have the same access to the tee sheet. And we've got the technology to do that now. So, again, 10 years ago, we weren't there. We are there now.
Okay, you've discussed it, you have some ideas, so I'd like to put it on the agenda for next month as let's call it reformatting group play or something along those lines, along with a report on the last year's group play usage. Okay, is that?
Do we need to form a working group in the committee to?
Well, let's kind of have a presentation and discussion first.
Okay.
And then at the meeting next month, we'll decide whether we want to go forward like with a working group to do further. Does that make, okay.
Okay.
So
Pat?
Along those lines, do we feel we need to meet in December, a holiday month? Would
Yes.
everyone just as soon have a December meeting? It would be on December 11th, which would be the second Thursday. Is that good with everybody? Okay, we will have a December meeting. We have a new item, of new business to discuss reformatting group play. And then now I will look to any additional committee comments.
Pat, when you put the group play stuff together, when you do percentages, will you put the numbers in there as well? So, 30%.
Yeah,
Are-
I'm trying to go back in my mind and see the slides that we use percentages. A lot of them do have actual numbers, but
Yeah, okay,
I'll
I
be
just
aware
want to
of that.
confirm that that's on there as well as listing the 40 groups or the number of groups that there are. I know there's about 900 people that get in on the T sheet, but they're all in different groups. So you don't have to name the group, you could just do group 1, group 2, mixed, female, male, something like that. And then also that outside players can come in on those groups.
Right. Okay.
So I'd like another item put on the agenda for next month,
Okay,
and that would to review, hopefully reform our private golf cart rider policy.
What do you?
Now with the addition of these three-wheelers,
Uh-huh.
I've had on numerous occasions now, try to be brief here, health problems, time constriction, doctor's appointments, and there's just any emergency time when you just need to be in a golf cart by yourself. And yet it seems to be pretty black and white. No. I brought this up to one of our general managers, and he said, if you have any predicament, you just don't play that day. So I just think it needs to be discussed on the, I believe this one writer thing started at COVID.
Right.
Well, COVID's gone now for the most part,
Right.
but obviously, if everybody's on 4 carts, that's twice the wear and tear on the golf course. I'm not for that. So anyway, I would just like to put on the agenda so we can have this discussion. We don't have to have it now,
Right, we'll have it.
but I think we need to take a look at the way it reads.
So are you interested in discussing the current cart rules? Is that what you want to talk about?
Well, I believe I know them. But we can if Chairman?
It's on our, it's what we're, that's when the meeting in the golf.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
GO4.
Okay.
I think you're addressing more the number of carts per foursome. Is that what you're getting towards?
Well, yes.
Discussing on Wednesday.
On,
We're looking at the golf.
who is?
Our work group.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Okay.
So you're just talking about, so Ron, so you're talking about just basically wanting more people to be on the golf in different carts, or?
No, I believe there's some circumstances that have came up. Yeah, a flexibility issue that,
Okay, I just want to make sure that we talk about those when we have our working group next week, so.
right, and I can go over that after
I mean, a
hours.
lot of people brought that up. Part of the issue is how do you control it? I mean,
Well,
because anybody can walk in and say, well, I got a problem today, I need to ride by myself. So, I mean, that's where and I don't know how you control that.
well, it doesn't need to be controlled. I guess that's my point. And if you have a general manager, 4 different courses, they were put in that position because they should be able to discern gray areas. But to say absolutely no, under no circumstances will you ride by yourself, then you need to go home. I don't think that's fair. I'm not. I can.
It will not be on next month's agenda, but it will be discussed at the working group meeting. Okay, anything else, Dave? John? You-
Nothing to add, just quick question for Pat. I probably could have found out at the golf course. Do we have coolers that starters can hand out for beer at the golf courses?
We don't have coolers. What we do to accommodate that is we've got a plastic bag that you could put 4 or 6 beers in, and they'll ice it down for you at no additional charge. But we don't have a structured cooler. We do not.
6 of the golf.
Todd, I just have a quick question for you. Can you update us on the number 9 of Echo Mesa? Because I had emailed you regarding seeding the divots, but when we did the tour, that was a no-go.
Right.
So if you could update us on that
Yeah,
fact,
I'm glad you brought
please.
that up. Yeah, the number 9 fairway over at, let me stand up. That number 9 fairway over at Echo Mesa that we sprigged with Tiff-Tough, of course, we didn't overseed it this year. And so I talked to Brian Whitlark, USGA, and asked him what would be the best way to handle that. I was thinking about spraying a pre-emergent, but he said they might not want to do that because it could give us some problems down the road being so new. So we're not going to do that. So I think you just go ahead and fill those divots with your divot mix. It would be hard to say, okay, on this hole use sand, and then the rest of the holes that are overseeded use your sand and seed mix. So go ahead and just use your divot mix to fill those divots on number 9. We're gonna be mowing it, so we'll keep that down a little bit too. And then we're not watering it that much since we didn't overseed it. So it is gonna germinate, it's gonna take a while, it's not gonna grow a whole lot. And then we're gonna start painting that, probably in the next 2 weeks. And so it will give it all a nice green color, so you won't see those little green tufts out there all over the fairway. So, yeah, there's really not an easy way to handle that, but that's how we're gonna do it. Okay, thank you.
Julie, any? I'm good. Good. We have no comments online. Anyone in the audience? Okay, as we decided earlier, our next meeting will be Thursday, December 11th. We've got a couple agenda items set, and this meeting is now adjourned at 3:15 PM. Thank you.